Alright, my fellow Imperial Fist enjoyers, this is Sprues and Studs, and we have yet another action figure that I initially overlooked on reviewing. Again, the whole reason why I'm going back to reviewing some of the figures that I have overlooked is because I want to use some, or even maybe all, of these missed action figures for a video that I will be preparing for you in the very near future. So in this review, we are going to be taking a look at a rugged man with a mile-long title that begins with Lord Seneschal, Commander of the Persephone, Captain of the 1st Assault Cadre, Dorn's Executioner. However, he simply goes by the name of Fafnir Rann. First off, it would appear that Mr. Mouthful of Titles has a full head of hair literally everywhere. In fact, this mustache is literally a separate being in its own right due to the richness and fullness of the brown. He looks like a mountain man who hunts and lives off the land in our modern Rocky Mountains. His facial features are sculpted quite nicely with a lot of definition associated to it. The only thing that I'm not sure about is the attachment of this random hose to the side of his face that runs back to the backpack, which I think is a bit needless. Unlike the Legion, Praetor, and Power Armor, Rann sports two very prominent raised Imperial Fist icons that are located on each pauldron. I like the way that these look more than the screened on ones due to more texturing and depth of flavor. One thing that I have always commented on in reviews past is how this subtle outlining on the edges of the armor does wonders to make the look of the action figure infinitely better, and Rann thankfully has these outlines in the form of gunmetal goodness. Another thing I wanted to point out is the battle damage on the armor. I appreciate the touch of realism because Marines are weapons of war, and it's always weird to me seeing them in pristine power armor, which is strange considering Warhammer's key phrase is, "In the grim dark of the future, there is only war." Finally, I do like how the heraldic shield that is a miniature looking boarding shield that also displays Rann's famed twin axes on them. One unique thing are these wires that go into the chest of Fafnir. You can actually manipulate them and put them back in if they are pulled out too much, so I'll demonstrate that to you right now by ripping this thing out, and then it's easy as just looping them back in. With the chest and torso area, I would say that there's a simple elegance, especially with the metallic outlining, this simple collar right here, as well as the red gem that is underneath the collar. I do appreciate the shading that's on the outer edges of the armor as well. And the gunmetal skull with laurels obviously stand front and center and boast a very significant presence on the figure. Finally, to give a little bit of character to the bland torso of the Executioner, there is a nicely colored metallic green frag grenade. Mr. Captain here sports two tassets on either side of the thighs, and I am enjoying how this decoration doubles as both the wings of the eagle as well as a shield. I think that this is a fantastic design cue that I wish other Marines had. In the middle, there's a rather simple skull for a belt buckle, but underneath it is where all the action is because you have what appears to be a shield and more 7th Legion badging. Then there are these plastic strips which represent leather that has a nice worn-in character due to the texturization that JoyToy has given this area. Around the back, the Lord Seneschal is packing a crack grenade, as well as a highly detailed leather holster for his bolt pistol. I kind of wish that this pistol was removable so you can actually use it with the boarding shield. Now, if you are enjoying this in-depth action figure review, please make sure to hit that subscribe button for more detailed action figure reviews that will pop up in your feed in the near future. The legs do not disappoint and do not deviate from the excellence of this action figure thus far. On the thighs, there is more metal embroidery, shading on the outside edges, and to add to this plastic art piece, more battle damage. I find that the half spheres on the shins with different sizes to be an interesting design cue that gives a nice touch and character to this area. The lower part of the knees are further accented by this unique grill design. Then on the back of the Marine, you get to see more delicious shading, which I can't get enough of. While we are on the back area, let's take a look at the backpack. I would say that there's a really good color balance between the gunmetal and yellow of this power plant / breathing apparatus. However, your eyes are immediately drawn to the massive gunmetal effigy that is sticking up past this mountain man's massive beard. And clearly he is announcing he belongs to the Imperial Fist chapter, and you can again see Mr. Rann is infatuated with these boarding shield. The headsman and the hunter are twin axes that are quite the impressive sight to behold. The axe blades take up an impressive 75% of the profile of the axe, and I would hate to be cleaved in half by these sequoia cutters. The first thing that immediately strikes me is the metallic gradient that is present on the edge of the blade that migrates to the shaft of the axe. The transition from the bright silver to a dark gunmetal is almost seamless to me. The golden fist icon that is at the center of the axe really draws your attention to it because of the color contrast with the rest of the axe blade. Then this textured axe handle also has the same effect by capturing your eye's attention. And now let's take a look at the boarding shield. It is interesting because there's a notch where the Marine can put his firearm through and shoot foul Xenos. But sadly, Rann does not come with one that he can use on this action figure. However, I do like the design of the shield with the gunmetal accents on the top, as well as the bottom, with these very large metallic blue orbs as well. What's more interesting to me is this dagger that is strapped to the shield by this leather strap. It doesn't appear that you are supposed to remove it, but now I'm going to take the liberty to remove it. All you have to do is pretty much kind of unbuckle this area and then slip the plastic out. I do think that this strap is very detracting from the overall aesthetic of the shield. Anyway, you can remove the dagger from its sheath, and this helmet here is also an odd addition to the figure too. Another thing I want to point out is the inclusion of this piece where you can attach it to the back, like so, and then attach the shield to it. This is very similar to the Space Wolves Legion Praetor, and I love it how JoyToy includes a functional element because it makes the figure all the better. And now let's move on to the size comparison. Rann stands a full helmet taller than this V3 Intercessor, and he's just a little bit shorter than Titus. And now let's move on to some more period-specific comparisons. You have his brother, the Legion Praetor, which is the exact same height. And then you have the Space Wolves Legion Praetor, which is also the same height as Rann, but Rann is shorter than this massive Alpha Legion Praetor in Cataphracti armor. Wow, what an impressive looking figure. I kind of regret not picking him up last year, because I think he definitely would have been a contender for Action Figure of the Year in 2024. You could tell in the review I am quite taken with this action figure. He strikes me as a near perfect plastic sculpture with the usage of shading, battle damage, as well as the gunmetal outlining. And to add to it, there is absolutely no inhibition of motion to this beast of the figure. Everything about this mountain man in yellow armor is imposing, especially his massive twin force choppers, as well as his insanely broad shield. I think, members of the chapter, if there is one Imperial Fist action figure aside from Rogaldorn to get, this action figure right here is it. He definitely checks off all the boxes for me and more. So if I have convinced you to get this action figure, click on the link in the description below, where you will be brought to a very reputable website called JoyToy. I have had nothing but smooth sailing experiences with them for the past 3 years, and trust me, I have ordered hundreds of action figures from them, and they have arrived to my doorstep without any fail. And to cushion the blow of these expensive action figures, please make sure to use my affiliate code SNS to receive 12% off of your purchase. So, members of the chapter, please let me know what you think of my assessments in the comment section below. Do you think I have beer goggles on that I can't see past some of the flaws? Or have I showered this figure with way too much praise? Either way, let me know in the comments section. To conclude, I think I've pretty much found my action figure that I'm going to be using for a very big video that I have been planning for you all in the very near future. And with that being said, members of the chapter, thank you so much for your likes, comments, and subscribes, as well as even viewing this action figure review. I am appreciative of each and every single one of you, and I'll see you all in the next one.